Joy is in your heart. It's what you feel in here. And we got to be intentional about creating those moments of joy, whether that is through spirituality, through community, through safe spaces, getting out there and immersing yourself in nature. You got to be able to find that joy. And that's what I want for everybody. That is a pie in the sky. People truly understanding the importance of joy and why that matters so much to our overall health and wellness.
Welcome to Shaping Freedom. These conversations are about how freedom is actually formed, what we inherit, what stops working, and the choices that change how we live and lead. I'm your host, Lisane Basquiat. I'm really excited about my next guest because one of the things that I really enjoy is that when I have the opportunity to have a great conversation, it opens up so many doors and additional threads of conversation that I want to go down. And so the opportunity to come back and have a follow-up conversation with someone is always something that feels so good to me. And so my guest today is Shanti, the founder of Silence the Shame. The last time that we talked, you gave us kind of the origin story, Shanti, about like what was going on and this, the nonprofit that you've built and the movement that you've built around Silence the Shame. But as I mentioned, there was something in that conversation that didn't feel quite done at the time, because of all the things that are happening on the periphery of you also bringing attention to the shame associated with and stigma, the ways that mental health has been stigmatized. And so we actually had that conversation in August of 2024. I can't believe that it was that long ago.
It's been 2 years? Wow.
It's been 2 years.
Oh my God.
I don't know, because it feels like 3 weeks.
Right.
But I went back and I'm like, this had to have been last year. And I'm like, what? And I'm going back and it was August like 1st or something of 2024. Yeah. And I think that the world has shifted significantly. And then it's also just doubled down on some other things. And so I figured that let's pick up the second part of this conversation almost 2 years later and talk about what you're actually seeing today and what has changed, what has shifted, what hasn't changed, like catch us up on what's been going on with Silence the Shame over the last couple of years and with mental health overall.
So first of all, it's great to see you and thank you for having me on again. Wow, a lot has changed in the last 2 years. Things are a little bit more difficult as a nonprofit leader, trying to find funding in this space. But what hasn't changed is the need for the work. And we are still seeing people, especially in vulnerable communities, take their own lives, people still being stressed out, even though I think the younger generation is talking about it more. Statistically, they're all not getting the help that they need. They may be talking about mental health and the desire and need to want to have better mental health, but are they taking that next step to actually get the help? And then also, I think, we just, particularly the folks that are in the U.S., we're going through some turbulent times in our community. We see basic human rights being, reversed, people not being able to afford groceries, the price of gas. I personally have so many of my girlfriends that have either lost really significant contracts and funding and opportunities for their businesses, a lot of them being out of work, people that worked in certain spaces in corporate, not having those opportunities or not even really being able to go and find opportunities at the next company. And so people are hurting, people are struggling, people are still stressed out. I think one good thing is we are seeing, because of so much negativity, that people are turning towards wellness. They are looking for more safe spaces and places and, into yoga and sound baths and meditation and exercise. And people are focusing on healthy diets and trying to be at least healthy, right? In the midst of all of the negativity that's going on. And I see on the nonprofit side, some nonprofits are merging with other mental health nonprofits, or again, the pool for funding is shrinking, and so um, it's we're at a critical time, I think, in our nation, and I hope that things kind of turn around, because I think we as humans can only take so much. And people are really, really stressed out. I have friends also that are looking for therapists but can't afford it. Some therapists, even a lot of the good ones, don't take insurance anymore, and so some of the more well-known recommended therapists aren't able to treat certain people. It's just, the resource pool is shrinking, if you will, in some aspects. And it's just getting tougher and tougher, I think, for people to focus on their livelihood and their wellness. So it's a lot going on. People are tired. People are sad. People are not thriving, to me, even just like they were 2 years ago. I personally, have seen it happen with my own organization, and even I did a lot of speaking gigs for universities and major corporations. All that has dried up over the last 2 years. So I'm going through my own little struggles, on the side. And so it's a lot has happened in the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's almost like a scarlet letter out there, right? And so, it's almost like if you are of color, if you are a woman, if you are, you're kind of like put
Yeah, it's
through
like, do we have a target on our back?
like what's going on. And then when you and this isn't to like, you know, we're going to lift this up in a minute, but it's the reality of what's going on. And I think that we have to name it, we have to call it, we have to say what it is, because that's part of the whole shame part, right? Because there's so many people. This is a collective struggle, and we may be experiencing it in different ways and in different areas of our lives. But I don't believe that there's anyone in this country right now, on either side, quite frankly, who isn't affected by this thing that's going on.
100%. Even something as simple as, kindness from strangers. You're seeing this uptick in racism, and, people lashing out at one another. I'm like, hey, 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 what happened to healthy ways of coping, and letting down, your guard, and being kind, and just being happy. It's to your point, but I think people on both sides are super stressed out. It's causing us to be unkind humans. And I just don't think that that's what our country, of course, it's been the last 250 years. I know the anniversary or the birthday of this nation is coming up, and it's been a loaded 250 years. So it hasn't been all happy and freedom for all. But I will say, when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, I at least felt a sense of community and humanity. And I think a lot of that is lost right now. And I just want us to get back to being kind humans and loving one another, no matter who you are, no matter what you look like, no matter where you're from. Like, we are human first. And that is super important. And that leads to good mental health as well. Just being nice to people.
Yeah, we're in a pressure cooker, and there. We called out some of them. Some of the other ones that I've seen are the the stress within families. As people are trying to co-parent, the issues that are happening intergenerationally, the this culture of and I'll bring politics in and then drop it out, but there's this issue of politics that's happening, but then there's also a population of people who are dealing with that within their own families, right? Where maybe they're dealing with the stress of like, I didn't know we were that people, you know. Wait a minute, right? And families just kind of doing it, and I think that all trickles down, and this is where my frustration with the decisions to move away from funding and supporting organizations like yours. This is where it really matters. This is where the bottom line is. And that is, there's a trickle down effect. So if you think that the person at the gas station, frustrated, getting into an argument with their neighbor over, I don't know, you were at the pump too long or whatever, right? That is the consequence of all the other things that we talked about. That's what happens. This is how it rolls out throughout the community and throughout the country,
Mm-hmm.
because people are living in a state of confusion and uncertainty and fear and terror and burnout.
And no conflict resolution skills whatsoever.
None. And the way that it's happening and playing out is because we have this tool that lets us, vent. So we can go out and yeah, but it stays there, right? And so there's never been a more critical time to support the organizations that have chosen to contribute some support, contribute some help with mental health, to contribute a different way, so that people who are feeling like they're kind of on their last leg, or people who are feeling that nobody cares and there's nothing they can do, we want those people to know that that exists. And it takes something to do that.
It really does. And I will say, one of the things that we do a lot of programming around youth and young adults. And we have our youth cope clinics. And what we do, we have wellness trainings within that. We teach them just about the ins and outs of, how to live a healthy lifestyle, what good mental health practice looks like. So we go through that training, but then we also have cope activities. Like we may partner with organizations that teach you how to DJ or teach you how to build a bike or, so many really cool activities. And part of that is, again, giving these, young people something else to do outside of this phone, right? When you're stressed out, the last thing you need to be is on social media, because sometimes that's
not the wrong place.
Wrong place, right? And we know that everybody's not necessarily going to go outside like we grew up back in the day, but having to, retrain the brain almost, right? Giving them tools and equipping them with things that they can do from a social perspective that can help recenter them, right? And get them back into a place of peace and calm. And of course, we have the traditional wellness activities like yoga, Zumba, sound baths, that sort of thing. But we believe in meeting our young people where they're at. And so that is why partnerships are so important, for Silence the Shame, working with other community organizations, community leaders, working within the city, with other nonprofits, because we got to give these kids and honestly adults, we got to, talk to the adults and tell them to find that inner child again. For me, it's like sometimes sit down watching cartoons. And I mean the old school cartoons. Like if I'm just having a bad day, I will sit down and watch the Flintstones and it will make me laugh and it'll bring me joy. So there's a lot of layers even to like the work that we do within Silence the Shame, because it's not all just, such serious trainings, because we want to be able to teach people in a way that they can understand it, that it's relatable, and that they can incorporate a lot of these tools into their everyday lives.
We talk a lot about the legacy that we want to leave, but what about the one that we're living in right now? I'm Lisane Basquiat. I'm a board-certified NLP expert and a legacy healing strategist. I created Shaping Freedom to help our community move from autopilot to authority. Whether it's through my podcast, the Lounging with Lisane meditations, or our signature candles and journals, I provide the elite tools that you need to heal and to lead your family more effectively. Own your evolution. Visit shapingfreedom.com. That's shapingfreedom.com. I'd love people to go back and listen to the original conversation, but I'd also like to kind of bring people up to date. So tell us, who were you in service to? How are you in service? And what are the ways that people can get involved And where geographically are
Sir.
you in
Yep,
service?
absolutely. So again, we are Silence to Shame. We are a 501c3 nonprofit based in Atlanta, Georgia. We are a national organization, but at the moment, most of our funding is coming from the state of Georgia. So a lot of our programs are based in Atlanta, metro Atlanta, as well as rural communities within Georgia. But we also have national footprints. We partnered with organizations like the NFL Players Association, Sony Music Publishing. We offer a lot of virtual support and trainings and conversations as well. We believe a lot in storytelling. So we have a podcast that we've had since 2017 that you can find on all podcast platforms. We just, particular season, dedicated it to first responders. So we're talking to firefighters, police officers, EMT workers, 911 operators, because we want to make sure that they feel seen because they are often dealing with trauma, on a daily, not even day, on an hour to hour, minute by minute basis. And so we support a lot of communities and populations within that. Our primary target demo, though, is youth and young adults and then parents. We serve high stress communities. Vulnerable communities would be our, primary target demo, and then just, the community at large from a secondary and tertiary perspective. Um, but we are out here doing the work. When I say, like, if a community group calls us and wants us to table and bring resources, like, we are out here preaching the good word. We are not one of those organizations that you won't see in the community. Almost, I feel like sometimes we're so overworked because we hate to turn people down. But if you need the support, we're there. We just recently partnered with BET, which is new for us. We hadn't done anything with BET, which is Black Entertainment Television, and the BET Awards recently aired. And so we did a conversation around the power of Black joy and, wellness for creatives. And it's so powerful. We're posting, it should be already up on our YouTube channel. So we have a global reach, even though we're based in Atlanta, and we're constantly looking for more partnerships. We just got approved to do work in the state of Maryland. So we're looking to start doing some work in the Maryland area and looking for partnerships. Shout out to First Lady Dawn Moore. We are hoping to have more conversations with she and her team to try to possibly do some collaborations in Maryland and beyond. We'd love to do more. We've done programming in other states like Houston. We've been on TSU's campus. We've done work in California and New York. We've done a lot nationally with Jack and Jill, Incorporated of America. So if we can get some of the larger grants, we'll come and we'll do the work. We're more than capable of doing work outside of the state of Georgia. But again, right now, most of our funding is coming from that place. And we are a mental health literacy organization. So we don't do direct services, but we do, we empower and educate communities around the importance of mental health, and we push you towards the resources of, the therapists and the other clinicians and psychiatrists, and let you know why it is important to seek professional help.
So you're celebrating 10 years.
We are. It's our 10-year anniversary, and we have our 10-year anniversary gala coming up. We're doing it at Zoo Atlanta. Super excited because I love animals. So we're doing it at Zoo Atlanta in the fall, which is 2 days before World Mental Health Day. So we thought that'd be a great time to do it.
In October?
In October. And so, we're 10 years in, and sometimes I feel like, God hasn't brought us this far, right, to turn back now. And so we're grateful to still be here doing the work. I can't believe it's been 10 years. But we're here, still fighting, still educating, and still trying to empower our community.
What has these 10 years taught you?
It has taught me that everybody has a story, that everybody is carrying something, whether we choose to open up and talk about it or share or not. And so I try to give everybody that I meet at our events the same amount of grace and create those safe spaces for them to be able to open up and share. It also has taught me that the suicide rates continue to rise and climb, and that people are still hurting. And that there's still a lot of work to be done, even though the conversation is being more normalized. You're seeing it talked about more. There's still a lot of stigma out there around mental health awareness and getting the support and the help. And I think, wellness in general, right? That term wellness, and it's, to me, it's so transactional now and it's so commercial. Everybody is, picking up on wellness, and, people in the retail space. It's big business now. But that the core of it all is that people are still hurting, and everybody's not getting the help that they need. And so that's why I think it's still critical for organizations like Silence Your Shame to still talk about the seriousness of mental health challenges and mental illness in our communities, and talk about the need for more funding and support at the state, at the federal level, because people are hurting, again, no matter who you are, how many zeros you got in your bank account, what zip code you live in, none of that matters. I hear at least once or twice a week about somebody's niece or nephew that has taken their own life. And it is absolutely heartbreaking. And coming from someone who had serious suicidal ideation, I don't want that for anybody. And so I'm going to keep, trying to fight the good fight, you know?
I do. There's a lot of talk about what's going on, and venting about something is not the same as talking about it and doing something about it and taking action. And sometimes people have the resources to do that, and other times they don't.
And most people don't.
Yeah, and knowing that there are organizations and support, and I think that that's really the crux of this is the shame part, right? Because we live in this society and culture that tells us that as long as we have, and I was just talking about this with another guest, wearing a great suit, looking good, putting on some lipstick and having it together, and boom, everything's handled. But there's so much happening behind that, right? There's so much happening behind that. And there still continues to be this sense of shame, like that unless I'm poly perfect, unless I have it all together.
Well, a lot of people are wearing a mask, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. And living in this, in suffering, in suffering. And we have to do something about that. And I think the way in to doing something about that is exactly the work that you're doing, which is to take the covers off of it. Like, this is really, like, let's look at the truth. And if we believe that the truth shall set you free, then you got to look at it. We have to see what's going on.
You have to. That is super important. I think no matter what communities you're in, what age range, so many of us wear those masks, whether it's in corporate America, whether it's in, professional sports. We see a lot of athletes that open up and talk about mental health at home, right? Right in our own backyards. And I will say it's critical for organizations, though, like Silence Your Shame, for that very reason, because we want to meet people where they're at. We've got to be able to partner with major corporations, with big entities, with big organizations, because we want to continue to normalize these conversations in those larger spaces so that it can be more of a safe space and people can be more open to talking and sharing. So partnerships for us, partnerships are like our lifeline, right? Being able to forge strategic partnerships.
Pie in the sky. If you're like, you know what, it would be amazing if these couple of organizations would support.
Pie in the sky, I really, especially having worked in the entertainment industry, I would love for the Grammys and the Recording Academy to do something similar to how you had stand up. They have Stand Up to Cancer, and that's like a huge charity event every year. And they take like five, I want to say 5 to 8, I could be wrong, organizations, and they spread out the money raised through those organizations so that they can do the critical work. I love to see some of those big entities in the entertainment industry and even in film and television and sports do something around mental health like that, like some kind of big annual event that would happen in the creative space, because we do know that our influencers in media and entertainment and sports, they carry a lot of weight, and there's still a lot of money being made in those spaces. And so being able to, and I know a lot of those organizations and industries, they have individual organizations that they support on a regular basis, but it would be nice to see some sort of big global event, that could happen that could support even some of the smaller organizations. Because what I often find is that sometimes the larger organizations come to the smaller organizations because they boots on the ground, right, doing the work. So sometimes it's smaller. It's harder to uplift smaller entities like Silence to Shame. So I would love that. And then another pie in the sky idea would be to take our Silence to Shame University program, which is our leadership training academy, nationally. We've graduated over 3 years, 70 campus ambassadors. We're super proud of
Oh,
that.
wow.
It is a wonderful program that our team has put together. It's like a 6 month cohort. They do a lot of trainings on their campuses. Well, we do trainings with them first, and then they have like one or two assignments where they have to curate a mental wellness event on their campus. But after that 6 month period, they go through graduation, they get a certificate, and then they become Silence to Shame ambassadors. That has been proven to do wonders for these young people and their mental wellness. They're still active once they graduate. They love the organization. They're passionate about helping their peers. And so that is a proven program that I would love to be able to take nationally. And even just for like one cohort for 6 months, it's about 200K, 2 to 250. And so would love to just find funding, even if we tested it, say at 5 to 7 other colleges and schools, would love to be able to figure that out. Um, and then me personally, just as Shanti Das, I would love to continue speaking around the world, sharing my story. Like I said, I was speaking quite often a lot, but with everything going on with the economy and the administration, it just, that has all dried up as well. So I just want to be able to get back out there and start sharing more and really continue to grow Silence to Shame. And we're also looking for new board members. We're looking for people that their time, talent, or treasure that can help us get to other resources inside of rooms that we may not be, privy to. I think again that we have a solid reputation. We have outcomes. We've proven outcomes from our programs to show that they work, and that it's really changing lives. And so just trying to figure out, we're 10 years in, what do the next 10 years look like? How do we really scale this organization and grow it? And so we're open. We're still learning. I'm, still new to this space, if you will, even though 10 years feels like a long time. It's still, we're babies in the nonprofit space. But what I do know is we're very passionate about it and we do good work. And so we are eager to learn and grow and continue to get people that want to support the work that we do. And we have this little campaign going just for even from a grassroots perspective, give $10 and if you can afford it, donate $10 and then challenge 10 of your friends to donate. It's like our 10 for 10 campaign for the 10-year anniversary. And then, of course, somebody just want to donate $10 million, one of our trillionaires out there in the world. Put it out there in the world. But yeah, but I do feel like it's time for us to hopefully get someone who truly believes in the work that we're doing and get behind us, because we are saving lives. And for that, if we save 1,000 lives, one life, 10,000 lives, like it all matters. Everybody's life matters. You matter. And you being here and not considering, taking your own life, or even if you don't have, if you have a challenge that's not as serious as you wanting to take your own life, but it's still a challenge for you, we want to support you and provide those resources. And we want you well. We want you whole. That's what it's all about, because it is so many of these external factors stressing us out right now that you gotta have healthy ways to cope. You have to.
Yeah. And it's not always, I think sometimes we're so accustomed to being in trauma that we like wait until a foot falls off, right?
It's like compounded trauma.
Yeah, compounded over decades, over generations, right? And I think that what I would love to see is people becoming more accepting of the fact that we can have joy. So it's not just survival, like it's like let's move the line forward. Let's move our tolerance a little bit closer. Let's become a little less uncomfortable with sitting in agony, and you don't have to wait. We're talking about suicide rates and all of that. And that's incredibly, incredibly devastating to hear. And there are stages before that. And so let's not wait for that. Like if you are within the voice of this, if you're hearing this conversation and if you're seeing the clips online, um, consider that it's not the pendulum swing of like 0 to 100. There's an entire series of things that are going on in the middle. And so if you're walking around and you're feeling like, I'm not feeling it, I'm just not feeling it, and there's some shame associated with it, and maybe don't worry about the name, right? Maybe you don't put shame on it. Maybe the words that you use are, I'm just going to pull myself by my bootstraps because I'm not the worst person. Other people are doing worse than me, or whatever those things are that we say to try to rationalize the space that we're in. We what's being experienced is a very real thing.
I agree. And you talked a little bit about joy. We recently partnered with BET. As I mentioned, we were doing a panel on the power of Black joy and mental health for creatives and the importance of that. And it was such a wonderful, safe space that we created. And it was a virtual conversation, and it's actually up on our YouTube page right now. But I encourage anybody that has, 45 minutes to watch it. It was so wonderful. We had some great guests on there. We had a singer-songwriter, Simone Joy, who also was the actress on Bel Air. She's a great new music project coming out. We had Gia Peppers, who's a renowned journalist, Free the Vision, who's a director and a producer, and a great therapist, Dr. Shonda Reynolds. And it was such an incredible conversation, but we talked about not postponing joy and the importance of that. And, with everything going on every single day, you've got to be able to infuse those moments of joy into your life. And people often, to me, confuse happiness with joy. Happiness is kind of what's going on around you, right? Oh,
You're at a party, you're having a good moment.
but joy is in here. Joy is in your heart. It's what you feel in here. And we got to be intentional about creating those moments of joy, whether that is through spirituality, through community, through safe spaces, through getting out there and immersing yourself in nature, and again, just all things inside, right? And so you got to be able to find that joy. And even if you're not having those mental health challenges, without having those moments of joy in your life, it could lead to the stress, to the anxiety, and other things. And so I feel like we got to get back to the basics, if you will, with everything going on. And so I remember just being a happy and having a happy child, but having that joy inside of me, inside of my heart. And that's what I want for everybody. That is a pie in the sky for me too. It's just people truly understanding the importance of joy and why that matters so much to our overall health and wellness.
To learn more about kind of the origin story, the background, and all of that, including the fact that Shanti comes out of the music industry and that journey, listen to the first episode. Here today, what I'd love people to think about is, how can you help? How can you help this organization? And not everyone has the ability to pull out a checkbook and do that, but there are ways to help.
Time, talent, treasure. It's not always about money.
Time, talent, treasure. That's right. And so I'm thinking now about, like, what are the ways, like a few ways you can help. I'll just run them down for you all who are listening. You can share, literally just share the word about the good work that this organization is doing. If you see something online, share it out there, tell your friends about it. If you see that if you know people who could benefit from some connection to this organization, please let them know. If you sit in a corporate landscape of any kind, any industry, and if you have any influence or any ability to talk to someone about an organization that can be supported, please consider including this organization, this nonprofit 501c3, in that conversation so that we can really get the word out there. If you are in a situation where you actually can support materially, write a check. support the organization, find out about it, make sure that it aligns with what's important to you, and that you know that it passes the litmus test for whatever that is for you. And if it does, and I'm assuming it will, support this organization. If you are in the music industry, you know, if you're a creative, you know how challenging it can be, and how little resources there seem to be out there. And so, if you are in the music industry, just in support of someone who's been in the music industry, help out, do what you can. And sometimes a couple of you come together, I don't want to call out any names, but a couple of you come together, and what you can do could have tremendous impact, not on the organization, on the people that this organization is serving, right? The people that the organization is serving. Black men, and Shanti, tell me if I'm wrong, Black men are, I think, that have the highest suicide rates. Is that still the truth?
I want to say it might be the second highest rate. I don't want to misquote those statistics, but I can tell you that in the past 2 decades, suicide rates have increased by 30% with Black youth.
Mm-hmm.
And so that right there in and of itself is an alarming statistic.
Non-Hispanic, American Indian have the highest rate. Men die by suicide nearly 4 times the rate of women. So it's a problem.
It is.
It's a problem. And more and more we are hearing from people that are more influential talking about, the mental health issues that they're struggling with. And I'm seeing more and more men talk about that. You could see that as it's a terrible thing. It's a wonderful thing, because men, the conversation amongst men publicly about some of the challenges that they're facing is a relatively new one.
Mm-hmm.
Women, I think, have historically been a little more comfortable having those conversations. So I while it's hard to watch, I see it as a good sign, an indicator.
Yeah, it is.
That things are getting better, but there has to be a container for it to help as well.
Amen.
Help this organization however you can.
Can I share how people can reach out to us?
Would you? Yeah, go ahead. Those are just my ideas. Go ahead.
I think you did a phenomenal job. The only thing I would add is how you can reach us. So you can get to us by visiting our website, which is www.silencetheshame.com. If you want to volunteer, if you're in the Atlanta area, we also list all of our virtual events there on what we're doing, upcoming events. So again, if you're not in Atlanta, you can attend some of our virtual events. We have a ton of y'all. When I say a ton of content on our YouTube page, so you can subscribe to Silence the Shame TV, check out all the incredible content. If you have somebody that's struggling, if it's a youth, if it's a parent, it's a plethora of content on there that caters to various demographics. We also, as I mentioned, have a podcast. So subscribe to our podcast. Go back and listen to old episodes that are still extremely relevant in this day and age. You can follow us on social media at Silence the Shame. And if you can donate $10, you can simply text the word silence, SILENCE, to 707070. Or again, visit the website under donate, or just encourage others to donate. Or so much has been shared today. Just making sure that you take time for your own mental health and wellness and get educated. We also do trainings for mental health first aid, which those are a little bit longer in terms of hours and time and commitment, but that is super important that you learn about good mental health and wellness, so you can go out and almost be an ambassador, if you will, within your own families and communities.
Okay, that's amazing. So support this organization, support this woman who is leading this organization. Shanti, I want to thank you for the work that you're doing.
Thank you for just giving us this platform and having me back on for a second time. I'm grateful to you and Billy and the entire crew on your whole team. Like, just thank you.
Yeah, we'd originally planned to have this conversation talking about mental health. We had planned to have this conversation last month during Mental Health Awareness Month that you actually claimed. And sometimes you just got to do it. You see something, jump up in there and do it.
It's all good, but we got a lot coming up. September Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. August 10th. I'm sorry, October 10th is World Mental Health Day. So it's a lot of additional days and times and months that we can share. But again, mental health is something that we can talk about any day of the week. I think it impacts. If it's not you, the statistic is 1 in 5 people will suffer. I think it's more like 1 in 3, right? So if it's not you, it could be somebody in your family or in your circle or your close friend group. So y'all, we gotta keep creating these new spaces.
For sure. How can someone who may not be in Georgia, what should they do if there's someone who's listening and they're in, I don't know, Ohio?
If you are somewhere other than Georgia, here's the national resource that we give to everyone. So when I was struggling 10 years ago, I called the National Suicide Lifeline, which was an actual phone number. That it was a 7-digit number that you call back in the day, or actually like a 10-digit number. But now you can simply pick up your phone and dial 988. 988 is a national resource. Every single state has their own dedicated 988 counselors and operators. But even if that switchboard in your state is busy, it will direct your call to the national hotline. So there's always going to be somebody that can answer. You can Google it, 988. There's also texting capabilities. Oftentimes people are not ready for therapy, or they just may be in crisis and need support right there in that moment. And 988 is great. The counselors are trained, they're knowledgeable, and then they can connect you to local resources right there in your own city and state.
So you all have it. You have all the information. Shanti, again, my hat's off to you for the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I
Thank
gotta,
you.
like,
And I
we still
know
haven't
that
met in person yet. I feel like,
I know. I
like,
know.
no, you know,
I have reason to be in your area a couple of times this summer. So when I'm there, I will let you know and we will
let me know.
absolutely
Let
meet
me
in
take you to
person.
dinner, or yeah, I just can't wait to really
I'd love
sit down with.
yeah, I'd
And I
love to
love
sit
all that
down
you're
and
doing. So continued success on
thank you.
everything you're doing, and really just
Thank you
shining a
so
light
much.
and creating these spaces to share so many people's stories. So y'all keep sharing Shaping Freedom. It's some incredible episodes out there. So make sure you're telling your friends about this incredible podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. I have a lawn chair pulled up to see what you do and how you kind of get through this. And it's nonprofit, but it's also the entrepreneurial journey, right? And sometimes you meet that spot where it's like, oh, it's really tough. Am I going to get past this? And I believe that you will, and I believe that silence the shame will step into its evolution to whatever the new thing is
I
for it.
received that.
There's an opening. Yes, yes, there's an opening, and I just, as you, and this is for you, Shanti. It's for myself. It's for all the folks who are doing the things in service. Um, my prayer is that you're taking care of yourself the way that you're taking care of other people, and it's a reminder that I have to tell myself all the time. Uh, and I just wanted to put that out there because there are those who show up. They see something, they see a need for help, and they show up. I'm one of those people, you're one of those people, and I know many who are. And in that showing up, um, just a brief reminder to include yourself in the medicine. Include yourself in the medicine because we have to be full, and sometimes you have to make a decision and a choice between yourself and taking care of someone else, and sometimes that's hard to do when you believe that that's your identity and that's what you're supposed to
Mm-hmm.
do. But trying to, and I know this is corny and cliche, but it's the truth, trying to pour out from an empty cup does not make your cup more full. If your cup's empty, your cup's empty. And I had a moment myself a few weeks ago where and I've been going through some recovery of something for myself. And I literally spent a day. First, my phone battery went. So I plugged that in. Then my laptop battery went. So I plugged that in. Then my iPad went and I plugged it in. And I stopped and I started laughing. And I said, all these devices, I'd run through all of these devices today and I plugged all them back in. And you know what I didn't plug in? Me. So I went through hours to exhaustion, right? To a drained battery and never thought about me. And I'm like, well, that is exactly why I'm in the situation I'm in right now.
You know what? And so it's fun. First of all, thank you for saying that. And we do have to be reminded of that, especially the givers, the givers, the givers, right? We're always trying
Yeah.
to give, give, give. But I am slowly teaching myself to take care of Shanti better now. And even just today, I had a big meeting and I took 30 minutes and just laid on my couch. I was like, you know what? I need to decompress. I need to just turn it all off and decompress for 30. I didn't go to sleep. I just lounged on the couch in the middle of the day for 30 minutes
Mm-hmm.
because I had to reset. I just felt a heaviness and a weight. And I was like, let me just bring it all the way down. And that 30 minutes did wonders for me.
Yes.
So you got to give yourself, to your point, permission to recenter and to pour back into yourself and to remember that it's only one you. You only got one life.
That's it.
And nobody's going to love you outside of whatever your faith teaches you. For me, nobody's going to love me more than God. But on this earth, I'm going to love myself the most. And I have to act like I love myself and to pour back into myself on a regular basis. So you're 100% right.
That's the assignment. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. We focus on the love your neighbor part.
Yes.
It's the as you love yourself part that we need to dive a little bit deeper into, right? Because doing that will make you
That's right.
a more powerful love source for other people.
Yes, indeed.
So, Shanti, I thank you so much for joining me again.
Thank you for having me.
I look forward to having dinner. We're going to do
Yes.
that. I'll let you know when I'm going to be in town for sure. And thank you for doing this incredible work. It's appreciated.
Thank you.